Hello. Yes, it's a different way of starting my chatting today. Ah, that's what I felt this moment before I start to talk, because we are now at the Holy Week, as you call Easter time. And there is a lot to be said about it. Not just about Christianity, but about all the sages, all the masters that has been walking this earth of us. There is a lot to be said about the sages, about the masters, the avatars of our planet. There have been a lot of them, yes. We know the main ones, the ones that everyone talks about, the ones that left some writings, the ones that left behind people, followers, which decided to establish a community about the ideas of these masters. And then in time, these little groups became religion, big structures. I was thinking about that another day because I was listening to some songs, and these songs got into my inner self very deep. And then I realized that all of our masters that has been walking our planet had the same beginning, the same path. Their life has been very tough. Their life has been with a lot of suffering. All of them. No one of them had an easy path. No one of our masters has been in a flowering road. None of them. So I was thinking, when I was listening to it and then afterwards, I was thinking, what drove these masters to the path they had? For example, let's talk about Buddha. Was one of the first big sages, big masters that afterwards left some religions behind. Okay, there is lots of countries in this planet that honoring Buddha. I have a big admiration for Buddha. I didn't know a lot about Buddha some years ago, and then when I start to follow my spiritual path, I start to reading and studying about all these masters, and I have one here I'm gonna take, and then I put him back. This one is supposed to be the Buddha after, many years after his enlightenment. Well, most of you knows the story of Buddha, how he started. He was a prince. He grows up in a very rich environment. His family was very rich. And he was protected from the outside world by the walls of the mansion of his parents. But when he was about 15, 16, they decided that it was time for him to know what was going on outside that walls of his palace. So they took him out. And then everyone knows what he saw: poverty, death, suffering. And this trip changes completely Buddha's life. He never been the same again. So when he grows a little more, he decided that life that he was having, it was not the life he wants. He wants something else, he wants something more. And then he went walking, because he knew that there were more outside that walls. And he suffered a lot. Oh, his life was so tough after this. And I'm sorry if I am emotional right now. What did happen to Buddha? What driving force was behind this man that makes him change his life forever? It was so easy for him. He would be, just following his family path, helping the poor outside, protecting his offsprings against all the suffering outside. It would be easy for him. What makes Buddha change his path in that way? For you to have an idea what he did suffer before he got his enlightenment. He spent about 7 years of his life eating just cow shit, because he went to monastery, one of these holy places in India. And the people, when went in that place, they have to choose something that it was most disgusting for them to do, because after some time doing this disgusting stuff, they will receive the enlightenment, because then they will put themselves, the pride and things like this, under, the power of suffering. And this would drive them to enlightenment. And he went to this, colony of people, and then he stayed there for 7 years eating like just this. And got to the point that he was so sick, he was not even able to walk anymore. So at this time, he realized that there was something not quite right in that path. He was not getting enlightened, he was just getting worse and worse. This abstinence of food was not driving him to anywhere. So he got to his fourth, like an animal, and went to the to the river that it was very close to that place. With a lot of difficulty, he got there. And then he said, okay, I'm gonna die here. It's better for me to die here. So he put his head on the water. And then when he was like this, he says, I'm gonna draw here. I'm gonna die on these waters. Someone must come in on a boat with a song, and he was listening to this song. And then he decided there is something wrong here. And the song went so deep in his heart. And he decided, no, that's no way, that's not the way I should end. And he drank some of that water. He got a little better. And he walked back on his foot again to the place where all of them was gathering. And he said, we are all wrong. I'm not going to stay here anymore. That's not the way of enlightenment. And then they were very upset with him because he was giving up. But he did anyway. And then he found a fig tree. Nearby. And then he just placed himself against that trunk. Big old fig tree. And under that tree, he was enlightened. And then he went back with his enlightenment and all his power and teaching. And he converted all the people that were there, even the people that were, in charge of this, to his ideas. And that when Buddha started his mission of healing people, not just physically but emotionally also. The path of enlightenment is not easy. It's not easy. Another one that gave up a lot was Muhammad with the Muslim religion. He also went for a cave for 40 days without eating anything. And then there, the angel came to him, and then he was enlightened. He was already 40-something years old man. He was not young anymore. And this is when he started his journey of liberating his people from ignorance, fear, separation. But he had to go and starving himself, isolated himself to get enlightenment. What drove Muhammad to do it? He was okay. He had a wife, children. His wife was a very rich woman. He would have gathering people around him as a governor. But what drove Muhammad to isolate himself for 40 days without eating? Between these two men, because Buddha was 600 years before Jesus. Muhammad was about 900 years after Jesus. And between was Jesus. Jesus had the opportunity to fled many times. What drove Jesus to be so determined in his mission? He had everything on his hands. He also spent 40 days without eating in the desert of Galilee, probably by the small stream of water called Jordan. He also had a tough time. What drove Jesus to Jerusalem to be crucified? He was a master. He would have done anything. He had the power in his hands. He was an enlightened soul. He was able to do anything he wanted. He was able to multiply food. He was able to give to life to people that were already dead, like he did about 2 or 3 times. What drove Jesus not to use his powers to his own benefit? And I discover, and I got to the, not discover, but I got to the realization that what drove Buddha, Muhammad, and Jesus on the same path of giving up themselves, it was love. But not love for themselves, love for others. They gave up their own right of being themselves, just for themselves, in benefit of everyone else. What Buddha did about 3,000 years ago is reflecting on me and you today. If it was not from this man trying to change the reality of his days that were so poor, so dark, was the love for humanity. Somehow he knew that 3,000-4,000 years after his life, someone would benefit from his suffering. And that's the path of a master. What drove Jesus not to fled from Jerusalem that day? What drove him to the Gethsemane, to the Garden of Gethsemane, and plead for help so he can bear the suffering he was going to go through? He knew when he was going to Jerusalem the 7 days before his death, he knew what he's going to go through. But you know what he did it? He did it because the love of humanity was bigger than the love from himself. He loved you more than he loved himself. what drove Muhammad to do what he did. It was the same thing. He was a visionary man. He knew what's going to happen in the planet. He knew the darkness that will take over. And he tried to fight against it. Because I don't know if you know, but the earth on the Muhammad days was a very dark one. The Christianity was taken over by greedy. People were not doing things on the church for love, but they were doing everything they did for greedy. So that's why you had the dark age of humanity. And that's where Buddha was born, or Muhammad was born, at the dark time. And that's what he was fighting against. Of course, people that follows these masters today, they have their own agenda also. I'm sure, absolutely sure, if any one of them would come today at this planet, they will say, you got everything wrong. It's not what I teach. What I teach is love for everyone. It was unity, not diversion like you have today, not diversity like you have today. They don't want us to fight against each other. They try to unite. If you are really a Christian, if you are really a Buddhist, if you are really a Muslim, you would love your neighbor as you love yourself. You would love as you love yourself, everyone else. If you are really, really following these masters, you would be protecting each other, not harming each other. So what you see today is nothing. It's nothing compared to what these masters try to do. Now, if you are a light worker, that's the message for you. The path of a light worker is not easy. As I said, I have been saying before, it's not easy. You have to give up our own self in order to, enlighten people around us. As I said before, it's like a lighthouse. And as I said before, in all these pages, the lighthouse are not built in a safe ground. Lighthouses is built where they need to, because they have to protect people and vessels against the rocks of life. So, if you are a lighthouse, if you are a light worker, you know what I mean. Don't expect flowers on your path. They come and go. Sometimes you have benefits, sometimes not much. Because the power we have got in our hands is not for ourselves, it's for everyone else. Let's take this message at heart in this Passover time, in this Easter time. Let's take the example of Jesus to our heart and be courageous enough to take the path and say thank you for being a light worker. Thank you for being a lighthouse. There is a song that I like to hear now and then. Not easy to listen, and I would love you to listen to it today after this. Just go for Bridge Over Troubled Waters. That song is for us, the light workers. We are bridge over troubled waters. You have to lay down sometimes so people can stand on top of us and save themselves. And in doing it, you are saving ourselves also, because we are all one. Okay? This message was given to me some days ago, and I was postponing it. I didn't want to, I didn't want to say this, because when you have the knowledge of it, makes you more responsible. And when I talk about it, make me more responsible, because now I just don't give the message to you, but this message is to me. When the guides, when the mentors giving us a message to pass through, the first one that has to take this message in is who is giving the message. So I can expect more challenge ahead, because this message has been given already now. And every time we do it, Dave says, okay, you know now, let me experiment what you know. And this is when things happen, and I have to be calm, and I have to be the lighthouse, and I have to be the light worker in a stormy situation. So that's why I was postponing this video, but now it's out. Now it's in your hands also, and it is also in my hands. I'm praying for you, and I'm praying for myself. Tomorrow is Thursday, 28 or 29, I don't know. And I'm gonna go to my favorite church in the Bartholomew the Great church in St. Paul's. And I'm gonna go down there tomorrow for the services and light candles for people that I know they need right now. And then I'm gonna do a video in there also. So expect something very special tomorrow, because already they gave me the message to do. I know more or less what the spirits and the mentors wants me to talk about when I am in there. Before the service, I'm gonna arrive earlier, because I have to do some rituals for myself and for people that I'm, working right now. And I'm gonna do the video, so I'm gonna get there before, some hours before, so I can do everything. And then expect something very special tomorrow also, on the church, on the Easter services of Thursdays. Okay, God bless you, keep you safe, and me also. And let's have these 3 masters in our heart this season, this holiday season. God bless you and keep you safe, and me also. Bye bye.